Hey everybody, if you've seen my videos, you probably realize that I have a thing for sketchbooks. I feel like sketchbooks that are properly used are a great tool for artists, beginner or pro, to help them grow. So, we are going to look at sketchbooks, how to use them, and finish off with 10 tips that'll help you get the most out of that sketchbook I'm going to convince you to use. Let's talk sketchbooks. I am Mark, and this is We Talk Art. Okay, to get started, I think there's some definitions that will help and clear up some of the confusion around these tools. If you go into an art supply store and ask for a sketchbook, you'll probably be directed to something like this. This is a traditional sketchbook, black cover. It is either wire bound or book bound and has sketch paper in it. The problem with these is they use sketch paper. Although sketch paper works okay for sketching and graphite, it falls short of meeting most artists' expectations of what they need to sketch the way they want. It is usually a thin paper, kind of transparent, does not hold up to much working, and does poor for any media that is wet. Watercolor, gouache, pen and ink, markers, acrylics, all of which artists may want to sketch with. So it is important to choose the right tool. Just for the record, a sketch or sketching is quick, rough, preliminary, or informal rendering that is usually not intended as final work, although the word is used by various people in different ways. So the first thing to realize is my definition of a sketchbook is for sketching, not for the paper that it contains. To get the most value, you'll want to get a sketchbook that has a paper that will handle anything you want to throw at it. The other definition thing I see online a lot that I believe throws a lot of people off is those sketchbook flip-throughs. You've seen these. This artist flips through the sketchbook. It is just one page after another of amazing, spectacular, fully finished art. Sorry, I don't consider this a sketchbook, and it is not a tool that is going to help you much to grow as an artist. This is what I consider an art journal. You can call it what you wish, but they are journals that an artist is using as a showpiece, something to show off as an example of their artistic skills. Many of these are amazing pieces of art unto themselves, but I often have to ask, shouldn't they be spending their time doing finished final works? I don't know. These kind of sketchbook flip-throughs can really throw off an artist, making you feel like you must make amazing art in your sketchbooks that you show off in a very public way. For me, I like to have a different use of these bound journals and call them different things. This allows me to frame my intentions and get the most out of them. You can make your own definitions, but these are mine. I always have at least one working sketchbook, and on occasion I'll have a few of them depending on if I want to experiment with different papers such as maybe a Bristol or something. These working sketchbooks are for anything that I think I'm thinking of or is on my mind. I generally just draw or mark make in mine, but some people will even write. For me, this will be used for everything. Testing new art supplies that I got, doing a composition or value studies, initial sketches, color swatches, detail studies, even attempt at a more finalized piece, but most often it's just playing in them. This is the kind of sketchbook we're going to talk about, the working sketchbook. I will also have themed art journals. These will be journals where I'm actually trying to make each page a nice piece of work. This might be something I'll show off in whole or part to the right people, but mainly it'll be something that if the work turns out, I'll be proud of it. This might be a theme I pick, like a winter journal like this one, or an abstract journal that I'm working on now that has works like this in it. But it could also be for an art challenge like Inktober or one of many others. A variation on this theme might be a travel journal like this. Like an art journal, it will be something where I might want to show it off, and I'll try to do more finished work in it. But at the same time, I might include some more rapidly rendered work, as when I'm on the road, I don't always have time. And of course, I have a variety of books, journals that don't fall into any of these categories, and some remain unfinished, and we're going to talk about this more too. Again, for me, When I'm talking about a sketchbook, I'm usually referring to a working sketchbook. This is the tool that I believe if an artist were to adopt, they would find it be very helpful for their art journey. The first thing you want to get right when starting a working sketchbook is to get the right book. There are a lot of options, so finding a book that will meet your needs will go a long way to make this a good tool and a good experience. As I said before, the standard sketchbook and with sketch paper will probably be somewhat discouraging for you, as would choosing the wrong paper for your work. You can get bound books with a wide variety of papers and in a range of sizes. A variety of drawing papers, writing papers, watercolor papers, some with 100% cotton, mixed media papers, pen and ink papers, and even some specialty papers. I like to use my working sketchbook for a wide range of uses, and as a result, I want a paper that is not too specialized and will stand up to a wide range of mediums that I like to work with. This for me narrows down the paper to a handful of options. The most often it is a mixed media paper that is suitable for dry and wet medium. I also like a paper that has some tooth, texture, but not too much. Other papers that I find that will work is a vellum surface Bristol paper or hot press watercolor paper, although these can be a bit more expensive. And since we mentioned it, another consideration is price. It is really important to not make your sketchbook too precious. It is a tool, and a tool is only helpful if you use it. For this to work, you have to feel comfortable to fill this with whatever you want to do, everything from wild scribbles to swatches to experimental mark making to studies. If the book is too precious, it will most likely end up on that shelf of fancy journals that someday you'll be good enough and confident enough to actually put amazing work in. These are really not helpful, but almost every artist that I've talked to has that shelf. I do. Pick up a sketchbook that is priced in a way that you feel comfortable picking up one of your kids' crayons and scribbling in it if it feels right. As a matter of fact, this is a great first exercise for your working sketchbook to make it yours and not make it precious. Really. Once you've ruined it with a crayon, there's nothing you're going to worry about putting in it. Size can be another place you want to put some thought. I find the 5x8 variety is a nice size for me. It is large enough for me to work in, yet small enough to be portable. The right size for you will be a personal choice to meet your style. Too small will be hard to work in or do anything meaningful from a study perspective. Too big, it reduces the portability if that's a need, but it also takes more time to fill a page, which may or may not be right for you. You don't want your working sketchbook to be too intimidating in any way. A huge page, well, that can be intimidating. The binding is another consideration you may want to give some thought to. For my working sketchbook, I tend to like a wire-bound one like this one because they can lay flat when they're open, if I have enough room for it. And they can fold back on themselves, which can be very handy at times. The downside of these wire-bound sketchbooks is they're hard to do a 2-page spread. They're also not as nice of a presentation, which is fine because these tools are not for presentation or to be too precious. For art journals, I like a book-bound journal like this one because it looks nicer and it's more effective for making a 2-page spread. A double truck for you graphic designers. The cover material can also be a consideration. A hard cover like this can give you the rigidity you might need for sketching in places that you don't have a hard surface, such as urban sketching or something like that. One of my favorite working sketchbooks is the Strathmore Visual Journal in the mixed media type. For me, this is just the right mix of characteristics. It has a good mixed media paper with a slight tooth that is good for dry and wet mediums. It is also one of the few mixed media journals that has 100% cotton watercolor paper in it, which holds up to a lot of abuse with whatever you want to throw at it. It is wire bound and it has a hardback cover. And as a bonus, the front cover can rip off, leaving you with an unbranded cover that you can adorn with stickers. You can adorn with stickers, or whatever you wish. And for me, they are priced really well. With that said, there's a wide range of offerings that you will probably find meets your exact needs. Canson has their XL line that has drawing, watercolor, mixed media offerings that are quite affordable. Strathmore Vision series has a student grade sketchbook that you'll probably find not too precious. Stillman and Bryn, they have a wide range of journals that have a variety of paper surfaces, sizes, and bindings, and they're very high quality. B Paper has a lot of journals that have a variety of papers in them and have very high quality paper. Royal Talons makes their art creations line of mixed media journals, almost, that are very reasonably priced, and despite the paper being a little thin, it is surprisingly good paper. On the higher end, Hahnemuller, Etcher Labs, Handybooks, and Pentalic all have watercolor journals that have really nice papers in them. I tend to like the hot press watercolor papers because I do things beyond watercolor, but if you're doing just watercolor, you may want a cold press version of that. There are actually tons of options, as I said. These are just the ones I'm familiar with and I've used. It may take some time in experimenting to find the one that really meets your exact needs, or you may want to choose a different one every time you choose a new journal. This gives you some variety. Yet, the physical properties of these working sketchbooks are probably not the most important part of this. That is going to be how you perceive and use it. First, as I said earlier, you cannot view your sketchbook, or any art medium for that matter, as precious, or you just will not use it as a tool. If you are not willing to use your tools for what they are made for, you will get little value from them. It is sometimes helpful to actually abuse or damage your sketchbook in some way, or scribble in some of the pages, as I said earlier, just to make sure that you don't fear ruining the book with whatever you are going to put into it. The book itself has no value except the value of the experience of working in it. This is super important. The book is not for making art, it is for the experience, the learning, and creating. As a result, the other really important part of this is that as an artist, you need a place to play. I believe that playing is the only real way an artist can grow beyond what they are currently capable of. So, this working sketchbook must be a safe place to play, create, and even fail, meaning that you should consider this a private place. Don't make art in this working sketchbook with the intent of showing it off. Play in the sketchbook, experiment, take chances, fail, do something new, do something risky, try that thing you don't think you can do, and don't feel like you have to show it to anybody. If you feel like making cartoon puppies today, do it. No one has to see it. Of course, if you knock one out of the park, show it off, but only if it feels right. Don't stifle yourself by expecting this. This non-precious private place can be the most creative place you have to grow as an artist. Keep in mind, when you put a canvas on an easel, pull out a full sheet of watercolor paper, or just set up to do any real work, you and everybody around you is going to have expectations. This expectation is part of making art, but can be really detrimental for artistic growth. Sketch in your working sketchbook without expectations. So you have this massively creative tool sitting in front of you. Perhaps you've even taken my advice and scribbled in a few pages. Good for you. Did it feel good? What now? A good thing to do to start is to write your name on the inside cover with an email address. This is good if it ever gets lost, you have some chance of getting it back. Many people will also put the start date and then when they finish the book, the finish date, so they know what they're looking at when they pick it up. I've seen some people date every page as they fill it out. I have not mustered the discipline to do that yet, but maybe that's for you. For many, what you put on all these blank pages can be a real challenge. To be honest, I think once you start, before you know it, you'll have a full working sketchbook on your shelf, and after some time, you'll have more full sketchbooks than those empty precious journals. So, here are some ideas to get you going. One thing I do is swatch my art tools or colors on the first page. This is just to get you marking the page and just to get you started, which is half the battle. Also, I find it helpful that I have these color swatches and see how they work on the paper, and sometimes I'll refer back to them from time to time. You can also draw all the tools that you've brought out to use with your sketchbook: pencils, pens, paints, sharpeners, erasers, etc. You can also pick something around you to draw. Some people make this a regular practice so they can get started making art, because again, once you start, it is easier to keep going. Choose a theme for a while: hands, faces, trees, cars, people, your cat, etc. Take your sketchbook to a coffee shop, park, downtown, and sketch what's going on around you. Choose your favorite pen, pencil, brush, or mark making tool and explore all the kinds of marks you can make with it. We all have photos on our phone that inspired us. Find one of these and render it in your favorite medium or style. Choose one of your favorite artists and make a master study of one of their pieces or a variation on that. Try out that technique you saw on YouTube or in a book. But where this working sketchbook is really going to shine is in working on ideas that you've had in your head that you've not yet executed on. Say, like me, you love redwoods, but you've never really figured out how to render them. Assemble some source material, photos, drawings, and such. Remember, the internet's full of source material. And start doing some studies. How do the needles or leaves look? What is the texture of the bark? Do the branches make any kind of patterns or have any characteristics? Do you see a way to abstract the clumps of foliage? Take a few pages and experiment. Play. You can even be simpler than that. Take your color or art materials, watercolors, markers, pastels, and play with the colors. Find a 3-color combination that you really like. Then try to see how they mix, how they flow. Can you fade it or blend it? Play. As you start playing, you'll want to start focusing on what you want to make, even if you think you can't. The only way you're going to learn and eventually master the art you want to make is to do. Yes, there will be times, or maybe even long times, where you will feel like you suck and you are not getting any better. First, this is why you're working in a private sketchbook, but also you're working in a sketchbook so you can look back at where you were a week ago, a month ago, a year ago. This is something that always amazes me when I do it. The growth is visual. It's right there, and we're proving your brain wrong. You are growing. The important point is to keep it at it, keep challenging yourself, and you will grow. Here are some tips that might help you get the most out of your working sketchbook or even an art journal. Now, our goal here is not to make amazing art in this place, but we're artists. We still strive to make beautiful things. Usually these tips should help you in the using and satisfaction you're going to get from your working sketchbook. The first tip is, as I said, no tool will be useful if you don't use it. It will probably take a bit, but you want to incorporate this tool into your routine so that it is a regular thing. Everyone has different ways of achieving this. I'll leave this up to you to figure out and work it into your routine, but do make it happen. Many people will say draw every day. I'm not saying that, just draw regularly. Tip number 2, no matter how amazing or cheap the paper in your book is that you've chosen, it may not be the best for all situations. Fortunately, there are several ways you can treat your paper to get more variation on how your mediums will sit on or work with the paper. The classic treatment for a canvas is gesso, and it can be applied to your sketchbook paper. A single layer or multiple layers, you could even sand it. It will really change the surface quality of your sketchbook for different applications and looks. This will also give you a more painterly feel and application if you use acrylic paints or paint markers. Remember that gesso comes in whites, grays, which I don't have, blacks, and even clear, which I have here. I guess this is clear, this is white, this is black. This can expand your creative options. You can also tint your gesso with your favorite color of acrylic paint. Tip number 3. If you choose a book with paper that has a smooth surface and you need more tooth, or you need to control the absorption of something like watercolor, you can choose a variety of grounds that can be applied to the paper. Daniel Smith and Golden and other manufacturers have a variety of grounds that can be applied to your paper to give the paper the characteristics of paper types like cold pressed watercolor paper or pastel paper. Much like gesso, it comes in different colors. This is even gold, transparent, black, and different surfaces. Remember that your paper and or surface can dramatically affect how your mediums look, so experiment with all these different surfaces. Tip number 4, in the same vein, if you don't have the above grounds or gessos, you can simply paint the surface of paint with an acrylic paint or acrylic medium and paint on top of that. Although I am a fan of leaving even my worst art in my sketchbook for posterity, there are times where even I will want to cover over a page. Acrylic paint, especially a matte finish paint, works really well for this. Posca markers also work well. Again, they have a matte finish. Other paints like Golden So Flat or acrylic washes also work really good to apply over a page, and you can paint right on top of that. Depending on the surface of your paint, you will get a wide variety of different results. So again, play. You can also glue down specialty papers, newspaper, magazine paper, and other sketch paper into your sketchbook. It can be very fun to put layers of paint or more paper over it and then scratch down through the different layers. A great glue for this is acrylic medium. This is glossy, but matte also works well. Tip number 5. Some papers and some sketchbooks will allow some mediums to bleed through them. It can happen to the best of them. This tip has actually 2 tips in it. First, if you know you're working with one of those pages, the Royal Talons books have kind of thin paper and sometimes mediums go through that, put an interleaving piece of paper between the page you are working on and then the next page, and that way as you work on this page it won't affect the next page. Glassine, wax paper, or even a thick art paper will do the trick. If your medium, like markers, watercolors, or such, do bleed through and you want to work on the back side of that page, you can use one of the above ideas using gesso or a ground or a paint to paint that back side of the page. If you're using a thin paper book, keep in mind that when you are on the back side of the page, that you don't want it to bleed through to the front side. If you feel like that's going to happen, then do one of the things and put gesso or something as a base for it before you start to draw. Tip 6. Graphite, charcoal, some inks, and other mediums will sometimes leave an imprint on the facing page of your book. This can be avoided by using a few different products. The most common would be a fixative. A fixative is basically a very light, clear coat, and if it's good enough, you will never even see it's there. It will fix the medium to the page. It generally comes in 2 flavors, workable and non-workable. Basically identifies if the fix is designed to allow you to continue to work on it after you've fixed it. I almost always use a workable fix. Other options are any clear coat that is designed for art. This would be something you'd want to put on after you're completely done with the page, and you may want to mask off everything else because it can get on other things, because it's usually a spray stuff. You can put a thin layer of acrylic medium on some kinds of work. And finally, for graphite, you can do a transparent wash of watercolors over your graphite to fix it. The gum arabic as the binder will fix the graphite so it will not smudge or transfer. Plus, you'll end up with a cool tint of the color you used to do the wash. I highly recommend with all of these that you test the fix with the medium and the paper. Some options and some mediums can be lifted and smear with some of these products. Tip number 7. Want to make a nice border or a hard edge around your work, or do you want to work in an aspect ratio that's different than your page size? You can go to this video here and learn more about aspect ratios, but what you want to use is washi tape, artist tape, or masking tape. This is a washi tape and a masking tape, or an artist tape. I don't have a masking tape with me, but all of these can be used to tape around a border to create a hard edge. All you need to do is mask out your space, make your art, and then pull up the tape. One warning, test this. Different tapes and different papers may like each other a little too much, and the paper may get pulled up as you pull up the tape. Some tapes that won't pull up in a short amount of time will pull up if you leave it on too long. So test, test, test. Tip number 8. Although I'm not going to go into a deep dive into this, there are many ways you can get what you did in your sketchbook onto another surface to do final work from. This includes light tables, projectors, and things your computer can do to help you out with this. Don't worry, your work is not forever condemned to be in your sketchbook. Tip number 9. Go there. Do something scary. Do something new. Do something that your fellow artists will tease you about. They will never see it. As many that are wiser than I have said, failure is a great teacher. And I can tell you, you will not forever fail. The only way you're going to get from where you are to where you want to be is to do. And working in the sketchbook is doing. Tip number 10. In the famous words of Douglas Adams, don't panic. I think I've made it pretty clear. You cannot ruin this book. You've already scribbled in it, right? It is pretty hard to fail at learning because failure is learning. The book is only for you. Hate the page? Rip it out. It is your book. For me, this is one place that I find seeing my failures actually helps me. Sometimes seeing my successes help too, and sometimes I see them later and realize that my successes were only okay, just one step in the process of learning. I think it is wise to persevere and try to work through something even when it's not going well. Almost all art goes through an ugly stage. If I did not persevere through the ugly stage, many of my best works would not exist. With that said, if it sucks, you don't have to finish it. Don't panic. Move on to the next page and make something better. If you are done with a book and then the book is not full, don't stress. Move on. You will know when you are done and you will know when you're ready for something new. Don't let someone else's decision on the number of pages that are in your sketchbook dictate whether you are done. There are no sketchbook police that will come and arrest you for not finishing that sketchbook. The Working Sketchbook is a tool to help you grow, not something that is to make you feel inadequate. This early sketchbook had sketch paper in it, and I got tired of it. And I did not finish it. I stopped. I did not finish it. I did not care. I got a better sketchbook, and I continued on, and I'm glad I did. Once I saw a YouTuber artist that got a knife out and cut all the unused pages out of his sketchbook and presented it to the camera and said, "I'm done." Genius. The point of this tip number 10 is you are the only one that this book is for. So do with it what you wish, make the experience positive, and don't let it push imaginary negative vibes onto you. I hope this video encouraged you to pull out a sketchbook and scribble in it and define it as your working sketchbook. I hope in many years you will be able to look up at a shelf with a bunch of working sketchbooks that chronicle your growth as an artist. If you have any questions or comments on this video, please leave them in the comments below. It helps the channel and it also helps out other viewers. If you like this content and want to get more of it, hit the free subscribe button and you'll get more We Talk Art in your feed. I will put 2 other We Talk Art videos on the screen if you want to watch more We Talk Art. Otherwise, go work in a sketchbook.